Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We are here to talk about open to buy and merchandise planning. And we have Ant USA joining us today, of course, also Celerant Technology. And we thank everyone for taking some time out of your day, busy time of year, good time of year though, to have this kind of session and start planning and prepping while we're knee deep in the holiday season, quickly approaching the end of the year and very quickly approaching the beginning of the year as well. So perfect time to plan better and learn how you can really use new tools to help you run your business better when you kick off 2025. So today's topic is unlock the power of open to buy for smarter year-end inventory decisions. Before we kick it off, a couple of quick housekeeping items. First, we are recording the session, so all registered attendees will get the recorded link right after we end the live session. Also, you can ask questions. So on the right side of the screen on that GoToWebinar pane, there is a question area. Feel free to type in any questions you may have. We're going to save 15 minutes at the end of the session to go over all of those questions. So with that, we will jump in. So I'll do some quick introductions of everybody just to keep us moving and get to the good stuff. So first we have Dimitri, who is the CEO of Ant USA. At Celerant, we've been partnered with Ant USA for probably 15 years. We know Dimitri for probably close to 20 at this point. We also have Jeff Dillon, Director of Operations from Ant USA. Scott Cooper, one of our senior sales executives here at Celerant. And my name is Michelle Salerno. I'm the Chief Growth Officer, really leading sales and marketing here at Celerant. So we have a mix of retailers here today. Some of you, many of you are using our Celerant software already, so you know who we are. Some of you are new to Celerant and not using our software. Maybe you're working with Ant USA, or maybe you're new to both of us and just really here to learn. So a little bit quickly about who we are at Celerant. We are a all-in-one retail software solution. So where we really pride ourselves is being that one-stop shop. It's a complete retail system for your entire brick and mortar business, your online business, from e-commerce to mobile shopping apps, of course, at your stores, multi-store, inventory management, point of sale, reporting. We even have digital marketing services. So we help our retailers do a lot of what they're already doing, hopefully, but help them do it better, from SEO services to email marketing. And the beauty is it's all on one connected system with integrated data, integrated inventory, and real-time visibility. So we have 7 offices all over the country and even internationally. We have about 225 team members, and we recently celebrated our 25th anniversary, so we are not new to the game. And we have well over 2,000 retailers using our software. Many of them have multiple store locations, and we have retailers really in every retail market, from apparel and footwear to sporting goods, hunt, camp, fish, to pet shops, thrift shops. The list goes on and on. We do have 2 products that we offer the market. You see the 2 logos there on the bottom. We have Cumulus Retail and Stratus Enterprise. Cumulus is our lighter, more cost-effective solution, which is really designed for the smaller retailers. And Stratus Enterprise is our more comprehensive, more advanced system, really designed for those more advanced retailers who have a bigger footprint, have a need for custom e-commerce, maybe multiple stores, or just do a lot of more comprehensive retail. So regardless of where you fit, we have solutions that can help you run your business better. And next, I will kick it over to Dimitri, who will introduce Ant USA.
Hi, so my name is Dimitri Goikman, and I had helped start this company back in '92. So that handsome guy in the picture is me, and the younger dude is my middle son.
I thought you were going to say the handsome guy was your son, Dimitri.
Well, you know, he inherits all his best parts from myself. So we've been developing software and working and sort of teaching, doing a lot of teaching, a lot of know-how transfer in this area, you know, for about 30 years. We worked with thousands of planners and merchants and retailers of any size, from billion-dollar companies to single stores, usually non-food. And we stress the same mantra that was true 30 years ago, which is originally, things get too complicated. We stress the fact that you can get the benefits and you can get the payback if you focus on the easy part of this process. It doesn't have to be overcomplicated. And what was true 30 years ago is still true today. There's a lot of people push complexity needlessly, and retail at its core is both very, very chaotic and complex and somewhat simple. We have, just like Celerant, two product configurations. Our Bias Toolbox is kind of the top of the line. You can be as complex or as comprehensive as you need it to be. And our more cost-effective starter option called Retail Optia is really for the smaller retailers who don't need the burdens or the expense of doing merchandise planning on larger data sets.
Okay, well, thank you for that. So today we are really here to have more of an educational session. We really want to help everybody learn more about open to buy, merchandise planning, and really why it's so important and how it can really help you make better decisions and just plan better. And so, whether you're using Celerant software or not, whether you're working with Ant USA or hoping to work with Ant USA for open to buy or not, hopefully you'll leave here today with just some takeaways and something to help you run your business better. That's really our goal for today. We're not going to do a product demo. We're eager to give you a product demo, both at Celerant and also at Ant USA. If you're interested after watching this session or in the future in getting a one-on-one demo, just let us know and we'll schedule that online, and it can be a one-on-one session, and we'll walk you through and answer any of your more direct questions on a live session as well. But for the purpose of today, we're going to walk through what is open to buy and how will it help you better manage your inventory and your planning through the end of the year and into next year, and all the seasonalities. And then Ant USA is going to walk us through this simple 3-step process and the 3 C's of open to buy. And then we'll talk about how integrating your point of sale, but not just your point of sale, all of your retail data, whether it's in store or online, how integrating that data with your open to buy platform can really help save you time and efficiency. And then we've got some great experts here. So we're going to end today's session with some takeaways. We'll go through all of this, and then we'll just do some key takeaways to end this session. And then of course, we'll save time for Q&A. So reminder, if you're joining us late, there's a question pane on the right side. Feel free to type in any questions as we go. We're going to save 15 minutes at the end to go through all the questions together. So first, we're going to go through merchandise planning and open to buy and get a better understanding of what that all even means, how to do it, and how it helps. Go ahead, Dimitri.
Thank you. So first, a little bit sort of a historical tour. This discipline was invented in a simpler days after World War II by the big department stores out of California, Broadway, Liberty stores, a few others. And as they were buying product from vendors, they wanted to basically be able to project the business going forward, formalize it. Chain retailing was developing already from kind of an art that was driven by fabulous merchants and not a lot of technology and not a lot of discipline into sort of a bigger organizations. The traditional approach to this method is kind of to make it complex, and we still have customers that will plan, using 30, 40, 50 lines on a single category sheet, and they plan full price and off price and this and that. From my perspective, after all the years of doing this, that's actually the wrong direction. So if you're $1 billion company, that might make sense because you need to fix your financials to your merchandise plans. But for most retailers, it doesn't make sense to be that quotidian, focus on the detail. Most people do it, right? You do it, you plan your sales, and then you try to figure out how to buy for the sales. And whether you buy it once a season or once a month or once a week, you're doing it either in your head or you're doing it in Excel. And the original uses for these plans where financial planning was done on big green sheets that migrated into Lotus 1-3 and that later migrated into Excel. And to this day, we're still implementing some retailers that are pushing $1 billion, and we're converting them from Excel. Most retailers don't do this very well, so that leaves an opportunity for people to succeed. The reason they don't do it very well is they're stuck in Excel and they're stuck in a lot of detail. The bigger guys, you see some logos of retailers that have invested a lot in merchandise planning and open to buy, even though these are replenishment-driven businesses. So there's room for planning the seasonal products and the vendor-driven products, even stuff that's not replenishment. We'll come back to that. But generally, it's a strategic process, right? You want to figure out what you're likely to sell, not just general volume, but what categories and subcategories, how much of that stuff you need to bring in and when, and then where to put it how to balance it among locations if you have multiple stores or channels.
And I'll add too, yesterday we were just talking not so much about open to buy, but just other topics. A lot of this, what we're going to talk about today, you can do in Excel. But as with anything, when you're using Excel and only Excel and you're running all these numbers, it can get complicated. And when you're doing it in Excel, it makes it that much more complicated and can also just make everything less transparent, as opposed to using a more modern, program or software solution. And it really just simplifies the process and just makes something that can get very complicated a bit easier. And of course, it eliminates a lot of the manual effort as well, which of course then eliminates a lot of the mistakes and the mishaps that might happen when something's all manual.
And it has extra features that you're just not going to get in Excel, no matter your guru status. And it's more stable even than a multi-user Excel environment. We've seen that many times.
Yep.
So the approach here is to think about bigger numbers more deeply. So instead of thinking about necessarily just, which style am I going to buy from which vendor, how many color sizes do I need, how many color size combinations do I need, how many options, all of that you execute at the item style level, item style vendor level. But you need to think about the business strategically. So if your department is doing, 10% of your business, you need to think about it. You need to allocate enough time to think about it. So there are essentially two technology prerequisites to implementing sort of a merchandise planning open to buy solution effectively. One is to have a good product hierarchy. For example, you could have department, class, subclass, or type 1, type 2, and so on and so forth, as you have in Celerant. Those are just names, but the idea is you have subsets of your business. Each one of them deserves to be thought of individually, as well as in relationship to the other subsets or categories. And those could be departments, could be classes, could be vendors, could be buyer totals. But typically, it's not, most people don't go down to style or item level because that's too much detail. There are some exceptions. We can talk about that later. The general idea is actually very, very simple. You have to figure out what you're going to sell, or what you're likely to sell in each one of these categories, departments, vendor plans, and so on and so forth. You need to figure out how much inventory you need to have when to support the sales plan. That's the money ball in the whole process. You don't think about inventory as an absolute. You think about inventory as in relation to future sales plans. The goal is to get ahead of the too much or too little. That's inevitable. Everybody in retail, unless you're just doing Japanese style, 7-Eleven, sell one, buy one, and you're purely replenishing, everybody ends up with too much of something and not enough of something else, right? Final goal is, you basically want to make money. You want to maximize return on investment. You want to make sure the consumers, when they come into your store and your website, actually find what they need, which means you have enough breadth and enough depth. And very importantly, at the beginning of the holiday season, you don't want to end up with too much stuff to clear at the end of January or end of December, middle January, or if you're selling, summer product in October, anything that's seasonal is subject to this steady complaint of, geez, what do I do with this and how do I clear it and how much of a markdown can I take because I have an overhang of it when nobody wants it anymore. So that's why it's important.
Yeah, which hopefully not many of you will be in that situation come January in a couple of months. But that's why this webinar is perfect timing.
So first of all, financial benefits, right? If you spend any money or any time, and time is money, why do you do it? The biggest and the most persistent financial benefit of this kind of process is increased stock turns. So for example, I was working with a retailer yesterday whose goal was to take stock turn from say 1.7 to 2.3. If you can imagine, an increase of 0.6 in the stock turn, you can begin, without sort of killing sales, you can see the amount of benefits that brings overall, right? You can only do that when you plan category by category, and there are all kinds of techniques to it. But stock turn is your North Star. Now, if you don't have to clear as much because you will have figured out how much you need when, then you typically end up taking lower markdowns. So you degrade your margin less. And the other way you improve your margin is because you're typically doing sales and margin planning, you tend to start to chase and favor higher margin, better sort of gross margin return investment categories, right? So high margin categories, products, vendors that move faster, gets you much higher GMROI. Because you don't tie up your inventory when you don't need it, typically you end up with better cash flow. So not only more money on the bottom line, but sort of less risk, right? Because you have more money in the bank if you need to chase that, beanie baby effect and buy stuff that you really need, to replenish, to support the sales. And of course, again, lower excess inventory at the end of the season. So it's a common problem that, if your inventory becomes stale, it's harder to sell. Again, your margins deteriorate. It's all about timing when it flows and flowing enough of it to support your sales. Many of our customers will say that merchandise planning open to buy as a process, and yes, our solution also, is the highest recorded return on investment of any decision support they've ever implemented, because you think carefully and deeply about larger numbers. There are some less tangible benefits, right? You do it faster, right? So you can do it faster. You can go on vacation more often, or you can chase style and item level information. Fewer errors.
Inventory is always our biggest expense as retailers, right? I mean, it is absolutely our biggest expense, and we always want to have what she walks in the store looking for. We can't have stock outs, but the excess at the end of the season or excess quantities in general or the timing of the receipts, as Dimitri's alluding to, it's all about planning and it's all about having a system in place. And this is a great reinforcement of the concepts, Dimitri.
Yeah, and it's actually the highest risk, right? Because if you think about it, unless your store is doesn't have any foot traffic and you rely on foot traffic, that's a built-in problem. Inventory is where you take a risk. Inventory is what ties up the cash. Inventory is what sells and brings in the money. That's the foundations of any retail. Now, if we think about errors, some of those errors in spreadsheets can be very costly. A planning system, an open device solution, ties everything into a single version of the truth. So when everybody is thinking about the future, they're thinking using the same KPIs, the same screens, and the same methods. And we love to teach that. So that, it's different for every retailer, but everybody's got their own North Star. So you start to think about these systems as giving you actionable insights into, where do you have too much, where do you have not enough, where are you overboard, where are you underboard. It's not theoretical. It's literally do this, right? A couple of other things that really work well, that are both a must and a benefit. One is when you have a solution that can work faster for you, you can reforecast more often. When you reforecast more often, your merchants are more likely to follow the guidance, right? Because, excuse me, it's more relevant, both in terms of your current stock position and your sales trends, and how much money do they really have to spend. And then, and because you have better compliance, you're able to transfer financial or strategic plans into actual specific orders placed with a vendor. So a solution like this is kind of a shield and a helper for both management to drive the team in the direction where they want to take the business, and the individual buyers to be able to work within those kinds of guardrails, uh, and frankly not get blamed for overbuying or underbuying. Okay, so this is very important. This particular slide you can basically take home and think about your business even without a solution. Just think about it from for example, Celerant reports that everybody makes the same mistakes. I don't care if you're a $1 billion company or a $5 million company. I don't care if you have professional planners or if this is the first time you're hearing this. First of all, everybody sooner or later in at least some categories brings in the product too early. They gave me great terms. What if I can't get it into the stores enough? What if the vendor doesn't ship enough? So you end up with a lot of people that are holding the inventory for too long. That ties up cash, and actually it makes the product somewhat stale because God forbid something turns and something else becomes hot while you're waiting for the selling season. You've taken when you front load, you've taken all the risk, right? And that's why the vendors will give you better terms, is because they will want you to take their risk, right? They're offloading risk. Second problem that virtually everybody, especially in the holiday season, experiences in at least some categories, is you bring receipts too late, right? So you should be selling stuff down and you're still bringing in vendor receipts in December. And all of a sudden, when you look at it in January, you have enough of it to last until next October and November, right? So that's called backloading. And again, that's incorrect timing. Whereas front loading, you bring it in too early and you take the risk. Backloading, you're almost guaranteeing excess inventory at the end of the season because it's coming in too late. The third one is, people don't think about stock often in relationship to sales, and there are specific KPIs developed in the merchandise planning sort of process, weeks of supply, sell-throughs. It's not enough to think about the business through a lens of turn. To get to a good turn, you have to make sure you can manage the ubiquitous troughs and overhangs, too high and too low in terms of stock in relationship to sales. And that's one of the things we teach virtually everybody that works with us. Fourth mistake that you can take this one to the bank is your buyer comes in and says, this thing is hot, right? We got to get more of this widget. In the meantime, yes, they're still buying something else almost through inertia. So what you end up with, the same amount of something else plus the hot stuff you're chasing. And when you put them together without rebudgeting, without taking something out to buy something else, you end up with too much inventory overall. So this is a problem, especially when you think about the business bottom up. When you're buying enough of this style and enough of this style and enough of this style, altogether, you look at it at a category level, and all of a sudden your stock is up 50%, even if your sales are up, 10, 15%. And the reverse problem is what I would call go north problem, right? Go north is give me a 10% increase, right? Give me a 10% increase in apparel, and you give it to a buyer, and the buyer has to work it. Is it men's apparel? Is it women's apparel? Is it kids? Is it shirts? Is it pants? They're doing all the work anyway, right? And so what you don't do is you don't give them enough guidance to be able to translate your open to buy and profitability targets towards the conversation with the vendor. So you either go too low or too high. And again, I want to emphasize this: everyone does this, and I say that with 30 years of experience. I don't care if you're big, you're small, you're smart, you're not so smart, you're starting this, you're deep into this. Sooner or later, everyone does these, makes these errors someplace in the product hierarchy, leaving a lot of money on the table.
And I'll mention also, especially for number 2 on that list, we're going to have a follow-up second session in January, early to mid-January before NRF. So, that'll be a slightly different deck. It'll be the same topic, but different presentation. So this is a great time to kind of learn about all this. And then come January, you'll know what kind of shape your business is in, and it might be a better time to really join that follow-up session and take next steps then, depending on how everything's going at your retail business.
So a few key performance indicators that people are typically using. First of all, you're always planning against history. The hardest thing to do is to plan a new business. So you're looking at last year, maybe you're looking at a couple of years ago. You're trying to put together a budget. You're trying to reforecast against budget. Not everybody does this in the same way, but everybody needs to at least look at history, look at the trends, and re-examine your previous assumptions. So if you create a budget for next year, come January, you want to see whether these assumptions are holding, and if not, you need to adjust. I already talked a little bit about the various stock related KPIs. If you actually look at these without getting into specific calculations, they're all about the relationship between inventory levels and sales. So absolute inventory levels don't make a lot of sense unless you're looking at filling the store, the number of units and so on and so forth, right? It's always, do I have enough inventory to support my projected sales? Just about everybody plans margin for the obvious reasons, because you want to pay attention to whether you can afford markdowns if you need to make them, and which of your categories are making you more money. And then, when you combine it all together, you get what's commonly a North Star KPI called gross margin return investment. We can talk about that separately, especially in January, if you end up clearing. What a lot of people look at is my stock and sales and mixed correctly? Is my location X, doing 6% of sales on 2% of inventory, or vice versa? These are secondary analytics exercises, and there's lots and lots and lots more. But everyone basically needs to do at least the first top 3, right? And then you can get into more and more complexity because the planning system really is also an analytics engine. Okay, let's go forward. So this is important, right? If you're a replenishment, you're selling pet food, you could look at, do I have 3 months worth of pet food on the shelf? Or do I have 6 weeks worth of pet food on the shelf? And how long does it take for me to replenish it? And if it takes me a week or 2 to get it, do I really need 3 months? We see this all the time. Same kind of idea. Actually, planning replenishment categories is even easier because they're kind of steady state. You can set the targets and you can kind of get it to the level you need to be. Obviously seasonal, because if you're selling something that has 3 months life cycle, like snowblowers or swimsuits, you need to make sure that A, you buy enough for the season, and B, you don't backload. Like I said before, bringing it in too late. Seasonal product is very, very subject to optimization through planning open to buy. And then since you're buying from the vendors, unless you're doing completely private label, category level planning tends to meld with and often translate into vendor scorecards Am I making enough money? Are they stuffing me with inventory? How's the sales trend? Can I negotiate better terms based on my performance against expectations? So it's essentially applicable, and we've applied it for anything except for perishables. We haven't really figured out how to do perishables. Maybe in another 30 years, I'll be doing a seminar on planning perishable product.
Well, we don't have a lot of retailers selling many perishable products either, so, and using our Celerant system.
Not yet, but maybe in 25 years you will. So again, I want to say this: you're playing defense and offense at the same time. Defensive buying is replenishment. I sold one, I bring one in, that's it. I risk nothing in theory. In practice, you always try to mix in higher margin product. You're always testing new product. There are vendors that may not be in replenishment, and there you're taking all the risk. So if you're taking all the risk without planning out the game, you end up you can end up losing to those teams that do the both, right? So there's no safety in just staying on replenishment, because the margins are usually lower, right? And because you end up mixing the higher risk opportunities into the buys anyway. Okay.
Competition's higher in replenishment also.
Yeah. So I want to stress simplicity, and then I'll finish on that, right? It's really a very simple process. People have been doing it since camel caravan days. How many rugs can I fit on my camels? More importantly, how many rugs can I sell when I get there? And do I have enough to start with, or do I need to put more, pick up some more in the process, right? You plan and you forecast your sales first. It could be as simple as, I want to do 3% above last year, or it could be much more complicated because, frankly, now, the consumers are very stressed right now. And, many of you may be experiencing this, but, certainly anybody that's in the discount business, home improvement business, the sales are soft, which means inventory is accumulating, and which means that you're hoping for the best. And, much smarter people say that hope is not a plan, right? So you have to basically try and figure out what you're going to sell in each category. You set your inventory targets to support the sales, right? That's the money ball. And then the system will calculate for you how much to bring in when, and that's your open to buy. Your open to buy is, in fact, a budget to achieve your sales and get a handle on the inventory needed to support that. That's all it is. It's just a budget. As an open to buy is an outcome of planning sales and planning inventory to support the sales. Keep it simple. You'll make more money with it.
Thank you for all of that insight, Dmitry. It's really insightful to keep hearing about these concepts that have been around forever and how timely they still are. I'm going to chat a little bit about what we call the 3 C's of success. And the reason we go here is that we really do pride ourselves on offering solutions more than offering software. We offer software to help retailers solve inventory issues. And Dmitry's mentioned thousands of users, 30 years, hundreds of implementations. Well, through that and our individual experiences working for retailers, we've got some takeaways that even further help with the success. Dropping software on your lap doesn't do it. The first one, Michelle, is complexity. Start by keeping it simple. Our approach is let's get started. Let's get started efficiently, quickly, affordably, and don't try to use 10 KPIs out of the gate. Don't focus on solving every problem out of the gate. Let's mature into that as we expose these concepts to your staff and make sure they have buy-in. Sell the concepts and the way of being into the enterprise gradually will increase the success. Really, Dimitri referred to hierarchical level planning and focusing on bigger numbers. We really are fans of that. Pick your hierarchies, pick your hierarchy levels, really analyze them at that level efficiently, quickly, periodically, and the details will take care of themselves. Create action points at the hierarchy levels. The next one is calendarizing. I come mainly from the direct-to-consumer world, mailing catalogs out, and in a catalog retailer, scheduling is so critical to get those catalogs built and delivered on a very timely schedule. For that to happen, every department must adhere to a calendar, some better than others. But having periodic reviews of your business review, which includes every department, and discussing your inventory position as a team, where are we headed? How are we getting there? No blind sides, no surprises are what we're aiming for. And calendarizing these meetings and calendarizing deadlines and publishing your open to buy all lead to increased success of your inventory position and certainly the use of software. We're big fans of in-season reforecasting and in-season planning and reevaluation to prepare for where we are today, November 20th. As a retailer, we began the plan for today many months ago. Well, let's pause throughout the active selling season and reevaluate how things are going. Where did I expect to be on November 20th from a finance standpoint, a marketing response standpoint, and certainly an inventory standpoint? Because right now is a better time to take advantage of trends and address canceling POs, pushing out POs, issuing POs than waiting too long. And part of that is always the rear view mirror, what we call post-mortem reviews. So start having those meetings the first and second week of January, as painful as they are, to review how did the season go, and cover every topic in a very collaborative way. Oh, collaborative, I think that's the next one. We feel strongly that, again, the number one cash asset of most retailers is their inventory. Shouldn't we collaborate as a team, an executive team and a director level team, to assure that our inventory position is in line with all the rest of our corporate goals? And specifically when it comes to merchandise planning, who is driving growth in which categories? And does the team that's responsible for finding that merchandise agree with those plans? Are you collaborating at every single level of the marketing efforts against your inventory position, the finance ability to cover your desired inventory position? And it all boils down to the sales planning Dimitri mentioned, the quality of data from the merchandise system that Michelle mentioned, all being melded into an open to buy so that you can see where you're over and under across your calendar into the future, and then enforcing these business rules. But make it an open environment. If the merchant doesn't feel that they can grow that subcategory because marketing thinks they should be able to, have a discussion. Zero in on a number that we all agree on to drive the business at the category level. So again, in summary, yeah, sure, we've got software, but we've also got business experience, and we've helped teams as part of our implementations succeed through reinforcing these points when we see them reveal themselves in the enterprise.
Yeah.
If I may just add one more thing on collaboration, because it's really important. I can't help it, right?
Of
You
course.
think about the balance between finance, defense. I need cash to open more stores. I need this. I promised something to the bank. Finance and the merchants. This stuff is great. I really believe in this product, right? And when either side dominates, it's not actually a super healthy environment because it's less likely to result in optimal profits. The planning function, these reviews, collaboration that Jeff was talking about, is the fulcrum. It's the balance between the fear and the greed, right? The finance and the buyers. The buyers, I always call them manic. The buyers believe their product. The buyers are driven to succeed, and without the numbers, they could really be driven off the cliff. And the finance can, what's a classic finance panic in January? Don't buy anymore. And the buyers are going, but I need new product to sell. And finance says, no, 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 no. We need to clear cash. Collaborate before you spend the money. Agree on the sales plans. Agree on the inventory levels. You'll get better results.
Mm-hmm. And so we have about 5 minutes left before we end. We go to the takeaways and then the questions and answers. So just a quick reminder as we're going through this last piece here, drop any questions on the question pane on the GoToWebinar over on the corner there, and we're going to answer any questions y'all have in just a few minutes. So last topic to really get into here is talk a little bit about the integration between Ant USA's products and Celerant's products. And so, of course, you don't need to have an integration to work with Ant USA, but how having that point of sale integration just streamlines the process a ton. But before we get to how Ant USA and Celerant can be connected, let's first talk about, especially for those who aren't yet clients of Celerant, some of you are, and maybe not using all these different platforms that we offer, and so this might be a good refresher too. But the first step is to have a connected retail system, right? We have many sales channels. We have in-store, multiple stores. We have online. We have e-commerce. We may have multiple e-commerce sites. Now we're even launching mobile shopping apps where we can design your custom-built app just like your e-commerce site, but it actually lives in your customer's phone. You can literally be in your phone's pocket, your customer's pocket rather, 24/7. But all these different sales channels and all these store locations, they all need to be connected on a real-time system. And so, of course, with Celerant, that's exactly what we offer. We have real-time connectivity. Our Stratus Enterprise platform is a single database where everything is just sharing one database. And it's also your inventory, your loyalty rewards, your online marketplaces even. Your orders flow in from Amazon or eBay or Walmart, just as if they're coming from your own e-commerce website, and you can very quickly fulfill those orders with a couple of clicks, all within the connected system. But the most important part of having this connected system is to be able to offer a more unified shopping experience, right? You want to save time. You want to make it easy for your team to sell effectively and efficiently on all these different channels, managing it all with one system. But you also, equally as important, want to make it really easy for your consumers to shop however they want to shop. And these days, they're shopping online, on their website, on their phone, on the app, at a red light, same day in-store pickup, buy online, pick up in store, curbside, same day delivery. There's just so many different ways that they're shopping, and you really need to meet them everywhere they are. And so that's the benefits, the biggest benefit of having a connected all-in-one retail system. I could do a whole nother full webinar just speaking to that, but I will digress. So for the purpose of this session though, we really want to talk about next how how your business will benefit from having the Celerant point of sale, e-commerce, all those different apps, how that can benefit from connecting to the Ant USA product. So as we started this session, we at Celerant offer 2 platforms, and Ant USA now also offers 2 platforms. So it's not to say that only Cumulus can work with Retail Optia, or on the next slide, Stratus with Buyer's Toolbox. You can mix match these, but really Cumulus, just as Retail Optia, it's really designed for more of the smaller retailers, lighter, more cost-effective solution. So on the Cumulus side, both our systems are browser-based, mobile-friendly, all that fun stuff. But Cumulus is meant to be more of an out-of-the-box system. It's really the starter package to Stratus. And why I love Retail Optia is because it also is very much the starter package to Buyer's Toolbox. So Dimitri spoke earlier about starting small and keeping it simple. And really this right here, this slide is the way to start small, both on the retail software side, whether it's in-store, online, both, and the open to buy planning. And on the Celerant side with Cumulus, it's a more affordable SaaS, very minimal or no initial upfront investment. And Retail Optia, I'll let Jeff just talk about a couple of nuggets here for Retail Optia specifically.
No, thank you, Michelle. It's our pro grade solution for the smaller guys. So there's no fear, no risk of you ever outgrowing our starting point. So you can come straight in, get many of the tools and features you need to get better inventory planning as you're growing your business.
Yep, and one of our differentiators too is that there is a nice upgrade path, an easy upgrade path for our Cumulus retailers to upgrade to Stratus. So we'll support your business as you grow, whether it be adding on sales channels and multiple store locations. And when you're ready, if you're ready to upgrade to a more enterprise system, you don't have to switch platforms, which is a big hassle, especially if you're needing a more enterprise system. You're learning a whole new software, you're re-implementing, you are doing a data conversion. When you upgrade from Cumulus to Stratus, it's the same platform. You're paying more in your monthly, we're turning on many more features and much more functionality, and you're using our enterprise solution. So there's a really nice upgrade path, and the same really applies on the Ant USA from Retail Optia to when you're ready to upgrade to Buyer's Toolbox. So for retailers who are starting out with us on Stratus, this is where you don't need to have multiple stores. You just really, these retailers are more advanced retailers. They either do a lot more volume, they have multi-stores, they may have a need for custom modifications to either the brick and mortar software or maybe a custom built e-commerce or custom built app. And there's that real-time single database. So there's a lot of advantages to Stratus if and when you're ready, and if you're doing more advanced retail. Jeff, a couple nuggets on Buyer's Toolbox.
It is very much a pro grade tool set. To Dimitri's point, we've evolved this product for almost 30 years. I'd be surprised if there's a KPI you can throw at us that we haven't developed for someone. And if you have a measure, a calculation, anything in the world that you would need, it's dramatically easier, faster, and less expensive than any of the enterprise guys you're gonna shop against us. Give us a try. It's a very comprehensive merchandise, financial planning, and open to buy tool set.
Right. And now integrating the two, whether it's Cumulus or Stratus, the integration between Celerant's platforms and Ant USA is really what's happening behind the scenes. Is our software, of course, has all of the data, the sales data, the inventory data from both your stores, your e-commerce, your mobile apps, all your different sales channels. All of that data is collected and sent every day to Ant USA, whether it's Buyer's Toolbox or Retail Optia. Every day that data is going to flow automatically from Celerant software straight to Ant USA. And then Ant USA takes that data on a daily update and does what they need to do to provide the data and the reports and all the analytics that they will offer to you. So it's eliminating all of that manual effort, having to export all of these reports, having to send all these reports out to your open to buy planning partner, and it's just happening behind the scenes and you're not doing anything. So it really does save a tremendous amount of time and just manual effort that, you know, as with anything, manual effort is more mistakes, delays, running out of time to do it, forgetting to do it, you know, out of date data, where this is just connected and in sync. Anything to add on that one?
Well, let me jump in. Because Celerant, we've collaborated with Celerant on the interface options. Presumably, if and when you decided to examine this, you could pull some of the data. If you're on Celerant, if you're not on Celerant, you should be on Celerant, right? But if you are on Celerant and your data is already sitting in Celerant, presumably you could end up looking at sort of your own environment in, you know, how you would benefit from sort of better planning open to buy. So we tend to believe in people convincing themselves, you know, when they need to adopt a new process or a new set of tools to implement the process better. So we're all about, you know, we're very big on, you know, proof of concept. You know, let's make sure that whatever you get fits your needs. You know, because we're referral-based business in effect.
Well, on that note, Dimitri, you're going to roll us right into our biggest takeaways, and you're up first. So we talked about a lot of stuff. We talked about a lot of data. Really, we talked a lot about the reasons why you should be thinking about a solution like this and the biggest benefits. We did not show you the solution, and we originally wanted to do a quick demo, but it's a good thing we didn't because we're already over time without doing the demo. So again, we're eager to show you this system, and Dimitri or Jeff, I'm sure will be happy to walk you through. And of course, if you're not using Celerant, Scott is eager to give you a product demo. But one thing, Dimitri, one little nugget to give the retailers today to help them.
You can make a lot of money with it. It's kind of on the surface. If you don't drown in complexity, and yeah, again, you know, as I mentioned, the best way to do something is to try it. So, you know, if you work with us, we will teach you what we know, as much of it or as little of it as you're interested in, and we will help you configure it in such a way that you will benefit. You know, that's the essence of this message.
Yeah, Jeff.
Yeah, and thanks again, Michelle and Scott, for having us. But it's really what I love about this is the timelessness of merchandise financial planning and open to buy. I mean, it's as timeless as merchants going out looking for the latest, greatest product, right? But these concepts are rich in their endearing qualities. Yes, we have automations, we have literal AI modules and products and projects, and we can, you know, create pretty screens, but the basics of open to buy, we have it dialed in.
And Scott.
Well, it says here every retailer needs to create an open to buy to manage their most important asset, which is your inventory. It's the only way to increase revenue and maximize profits. But to add to that, through the process of creating an open to buy and you get to increase your turns, you also create, and I think Dimitri said, this inventory freshness. And the fresher your inventory is, the more likely your customers are going to come back over and over again just to see what's new. And of course, the integration here, I used to do an Excel spreadsheet for open to buy when I was in retail. And the amount of time that this would have saved me, it's just, you can't even measure it. So it's a good process.
Awesome. And for me, my biggest takeaway just really is, you know, sort of what I said earlier. It's retailers need to be smart, right? You're selling on multiple channels. Hopefully you're using a connected system to pull it all together and really make it easier. But at the end of the day, you are sitting on a gold mine of data from all your sales channels, and it's all right there in your Celerant system or whatever system you might be using. You need to use the data, and leaning on a team like Ant USA to come in and help you not just with the software and show you the reports and the metrics, but actually the full service that they'll provide in helping you understand the data and helping your team better communicate across departments, like Dimitri said, but it all goes back to the data. And when you make smarter decisions based on actual data, that's when you can really cut costs and ultimately increase revenue, which is really what it's all about. All right, so we are actually right on time. We have 3 minutes left, which is not a lot of time for questions, but that's okay. Again, send your questions over. If we don't get to it on the live session, we will answer them via email. A couple of quick things I'll mention before we get to the questions is next steps. I've said multiple times, but we are eager to give a demo. But if you're interested in learning more about Ant USA, as Dimitri mentioned, they're eager to give you all a no obligation proof of concept using your actual data. This is much easier if you're using Celerant system, but either way, the data you can get over to the team, and you will get a proof of concept using your real data for free. So click that link there. You can't click it, but you can visit celerant.com/AntUSA. There's a form on that page. The button looks just like you see there, get integration. Even though you're not going to get the integration yet with that form, that's the form you can fill out to get set up with this free proof of concept. Now, if you're interested in Celerant and you're not yet using our system, you can visit celerant.com/quiz, and you can take a short 3-minute quiz. It's just a self-serving quiz, and ultimately, based on all your specific answers to that quiz, you're going to get a full assessment, and it's going to really help guide you in the next step for your software journey, whether it's Cumulus or Stratus or which system is going to be best for your business based on your needs. That's the biggest question we always get asked from new retailers who talk to us, Cumulus or Stratus, and we'll really help guide you, and that quiz will really help guide you as well. For those of you who just want to send a quick email, the emails are up there too. So whatever you prefer is all here for you. So now we have 1 minute, but let's see what questions we have here. Give me 1 second to open this. Okay, so first question. What is the cost difference between Retail Optia and Buyer's Toolbox?
So Retail Optia can be, is probably the least expensive solution out there. You can get it, as little as a couple of $100 a month, $100 a store. Toolbox AP can scale to, style, color, size, multiple users, and so on and so forth. So, the easiest way to think about it is it's kind of picks up at cost where Retail Optia ends. Most of the Toolbox AP clients end up paying, I don't know, $1,000 to $3,000 a month or something like that, depending on the size of the business and what they need really. So it kind of, in terms of cost, it's like I said, from a couple $100 a month to a few $1,000s a month, depending on where you need to be. And our clients, like I mentioned, range from, a single store, $5-10 million, in multi-stores, frankly, all the way to $1 billion plus. So when you're at the high end, we're really competing with Oracle and, some of the other companies that won $1 million. Okay.
Got it. All right, next question here is, if I'm using Celerant's enterprise system, am I only able to use the Ant USA enterprise system?
Not necessarily. You probably have more. We can implement retail objects as a starting package based on the data that's coming out of Stratus. You probably would have a bigger appetite if you're on Stratus because you can support more data. But the true answer is retail object can be implemented for kind of retail of any size, as long as you want to keep it super simple even on a larger scale. Right?
Yeah, and same thing for us, at Celerant. What I always say is start small. At least you can start and then grow from there. So much like sometimes, we always call it like the tweener, right? You can probably run your business on Cumulus, but really you should be on Stratus. Well, the same applies here. And so if you're more comfortable starting small, proving the concepts and getting some benefit out of it, then we can always upgrade you and move you from there. So I think really a lot of similarities between the models, both on the Celerant side and the Ant USA side. Okay, another question. What is the process to get started with Open to Buy?
Talk to us.
Talk to us. Yes, fill out the form.
We love talking to you. No, I'm serious, right? We talk to every customer. We want to know what you need. We will answer questions. We will even provide opinions for free, as you can imagine. And kind of help you zero in. Talk to us. We'll figure out what you need together, and we will try to model it for you so that you can confirm your assumptions for real. So send us an email.
And it is true. We're focused more on the solution, and then the software just sort of helps get us there.
And I'll add to that, for anyone who is using the Celerant software, on our side, of course, we have to get this integration set up. So if you're interested, first step is to talk to Dimitri and Jeff, and then, of course, get this proof of concept for free, because why not? You might as well just get that and check it out. And when you're ready, let us know, because let your account rep know at Celerant, because we will need to have this integration set up for you. And there's a setup involved there, and we need to start the process. So you just need to communicate that to us to get the ball rolling. All right. Well, we are at time. So thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Hope you learned a little bit. Reminder, we will be back at it in January. We're going to do a follow-up session after the holiday rush is concluded. So if you're not ready to move forward now, join us again in January. You'll learn more. We'll have a different deck and a slightly different presentation at that time. We'll also both be at the NRF show. We're there every year. Dimitri loves giving out chocolate. Our booth number at Celerant is going to be 3867 at the NRF show this January if you're coming to New York City. Jeff, Dimitri, what's your booth number? You guys are always downstairs.
1103.
All right, so 1103.
At the front of
So at the front of the downstairs, and we're upstairs, booth 3867. So if we don't see you before the NRF show, we hope to talk to you soon. But thank you, Dimitri. Thank you, Jeff. Scott.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody for joining.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Happy holidays.